Good morning. Welcome you back again for lecture number 4. And we will start from the point where we left in the last period, right? So in the last period, essentially we were making an attempt to derive an expression for tractive effort that can be developed at the tire road interaction. And we understood an important phenomena called longitudinal slip that has to occur. The pneumatic tire is capable of getting this phenomena fulfilled. That's the reason why you see this pneumatic tire is widely used in ground vehicles. Why? Because the pneumatic tire is made of more of rubber compounds and rubber materials flexing in action. So there is an elastic deformation that can take place when the tires are subjected to tractive force or braking effort. So that's essentially what is the basis for our strength of material approach. Proposed by by the scientist Julian, and named after him the model, Julian's tire model. That's what we are looking at it. And we were understood clearly the assumption of the model. Any analytical or physical mathematical equation for any physical system can be derived with a lot of assumptions. So one important assumption of this model is a tire is treated to be an elastic band with a tension that would be equivalent to that of which would be on a real tire inflation pressure tension. So if you consider this, and then to have a contact patch in rectangular shape, and the rectangular contact patch is uniformly distributed normal pressure when it is not rolling, when it is just loaded. But under the action of rolling, you would see that the normal pressure is resultant normal pressure is getting displaced in front of the contact patch. Even under rolling condition, when you stop applying the driving torque, the condition is called free rolling condition. You see that normal pressure is still ahead of the center of contact patch. That's essentially is because of rolling tire material is of highly viscous material, and that would dissipate energy during hysteresis cycling of its operation. And that's what is manifesting rolling resistance and so on that we have seen. So holding that all apart, we look at particularly for this model driving torque application, so that we would be able to get the relationship between tractive effort and the slip. So that's essentially what we were started looking at from the last period. I'm going to continue with the point where we stopped. So for that, let me share my ActInspire board. Yeah. So in this, we were essentially looking at in the last period till this. So we had this tire model, and we know that the variation of tractive force as function of slip is going to be in this fashion. So this is I and this is Fx. You will have your variation linear till this point A. After that it's non-linear, and then it falls, and you know here the value is going to be equivalent to sliding friction value. And that's what is called 100% slip. So 100% slip is scenario physically in a rolling tire is that tire spinning, but the wheel is not translating. So you do not prefer this state to reach, and this state to reach is not going to take longer time. It is just an arbitrary suddenly happening. Moment your slip, which is necessary phenomena, reaches to the maximum value of M corresponding to this point B, where you get your maximum tractive effort, which is equal to mu P times W. That is what is your Fx. So your traction control system in your vehicle would ensure that you are going to operate or the tires will be developing this for the driving torque is applied, right? So that's what is the requirement that is made. So holding those idea in mind and looking at it, in this derivation that we were defining an important definition called the characteristic length. So characteristic length is not a physical length in the tire, rather it defines a length from the front of the contact patch towards the rear, where the represent the adhesion zone of the contact. So if the entire contact patch is adhered to the ground, this LC is equal to the entire length LT. That's what is our understanding. But you know that you cannot have this condition while the driving torque is applied. Why? Because that would be a linear model and you would have only less value of your traction that's possible to develop. So it is necessary that your contact patch has to have a sliding zone as well, and that has to happen always from the rear end, and that will move forward towards the leading end. So it should not complete its entire contact patch. It has to just come to this toe, like our foot toes we are running, and that is the point corresponding to point B. So at point B, you are able to have your maximum traction force. That's what we have seen. So the definition of this LC helps us to distinguish the zone of adhesion and zone of sliding. And the necessary condition can be achieved. So what is the condition for complete adhesion zone? No sliding. You should have your contact patch length should be less than or equal to LC. So LC is what we have derived here. So if your LT is less than or equal to LC, there is no sliding. Your tire model is linear, and you would have a critical value of slip and the corresponding critical value of tractive force. And that's what we just have left it at this point. And this affects what you have got is for a complete adhesion zone, and this is the equation. So this is not the complete equation that describes our graph, and I need to develop further. So that's that we are going to look at in today's fourth lecture. So this is lecture number 4. And today 10/2/2021, and we look at Julien's model for tractive effort versus longitudinal slip variation, and we know that has to be this. So we derive the expression from point O to A alone now, right? So that is equation number 13. What was that equation is we derived Fx equals to mu P times W. P times W sorry, it's not mu P times W. We derived, what was the equation we derived finally in this? KT, capital KT into epsilon, right? Capital KT into epsilon. Capital KT into epsilon. So this is equation 1.13 we derived in the last class, where this capital KT is given by KT small critical stiffness per unit area, lambda length of the portion of the thread in front of the contact patch under compression, multiplied by 1 plus LT by 2 lambda. So this is what we have derived, and we stopped at this point. And now let us go for the condition for sliding at the rear, edge of contact patch. So what is the condition? You should reach to this point. What is this point? This point corresponds to IC and the corresponding value FC. So one can derive the value of IC and FC. Let's do that, and then we will proceed further. So how do I derive the value of IC and corresponding value of FXC? I know what is my characteristic length. So I have to equate my contact patch length is equal to LC, which is equal to mu P times W. I'm just deriving the value for this point by LT KT into I. I replaced epsilon by I because till this region, you see that it's a measure of your longitudinal strain is measure of skid. So sorry, slip. So I replace that by I value and minus lambda. So this is what is my characteristic length. So when this characteristic length is what is LT, if I say that the complete adhesion zone, no sliding, that is this point. When I equate, that is the condition for sliding to initiate as well, right? Because the next point are just an increment in IC value is what is going to be nonlinear region starting point. So when I have this, I can derive now what is my IC. So when I say LT equals LC, this become IC. So lambda can be taken on the other side. So it is LT plus lambda, that's equal to mu P W by LT KT small kt into IC, and that gives me value of critical slip value as mu P W by what is that I get? KT LT into LT plus lambda. LT plus lambda. So this is that value at which I will have my initiation of sliding at the rear of the contact patch to take place. So what is the corresponding value of my tractive effort? So Fxc will be, I have to substitute in place of I. So what is that value I here? I can also write this KT into I. So in place of I should substitute this value. If I do so, I will get this is KT lambda LT IC instead of this IC to 1 plus LT by 2 lambda. LT by 2 lambda. So if I further simplify, substitute this IC, this value here, what do I have? If I substitute that, if I substitute this IC into this, I will have this expression. I will have this expression further. Put this IC value here, I will have KT lambda LT mu P W by KT lambda LT plus lambda into 1 plus LT by 2 lambda. So in this KT LT goes off. So I do have my expression mu P W into 1 plus LT by 2 lambda divided by, what is that I have here? See this, if I take lambda out, lambda goes off. So 1 plus LT by lambda, 1 plus LT by lambda. So this is my Fxc corresponding to the point A in the curve. This equation is 1.16 and this equation is 1. IC value what we have derived is 1.15 and equation 14 is this. What is equation 14? I just number the same so that it is convenient for you when you refer back. So this is equation 14. This is equation 114 and this is equation 115 and this is equation 116. So I have now in this graph, I have predicted the value of IC and Fxc.
Sir?
Yeah.
So after 1.13,
Yeah.
capital KT is there. In that LT is not there.
LT is not there?
Yes.
1 minute. Just for this equation. What was that equation we derived in the last period? Yes, I have to take it in this KT, right? I just missed out. It's there here, LT.
Yes, sir.
What is the doubt?
Sir, after next page, sir, next page.
Next page. Next page. Yeah, here it has to be there. Correct. Thank you for guiding.
Yes.
There's the LT here. Otherwise, it has to come here, right? Yeah, that's correct. So till here there is no doubt, and now let us go ahead with considering the sliding zone and what is the tractive force over there, right? So what is this critical value says? A further increase in the value of slip or tractive force would respectively increase or respectively responsible for creating a sliding at the end of the contact patch. So there will be a sliding zone. So how do I account that force? So that force, let us put it as Fx subscript S. S refer to sliding zone force, and I would say that as simply by this equation, mu p times W, because I know at peak value it is mu p times W, so that's 1 minus LC by LT. See this equation, very nice equation. So when LC is equal to LT, what would happen? This is 0, and I would have, when I say LT equal to LC, right? So this is going to be what? 1. So 1 minus 1, 0. So I will have no sliding force. When LT is greater than LC, right? So what does that mean? Sliding is initiated. So I would have the value of Fx. Yes. So that is what is this equation. If you do not understand, you can ask. I can once again explain. So this equation is that expression for the value of tractive force that's available during sliding, right? So sliding, partial sliding of the contact patch from the rear of the contact patch. So that you can easily examine that when I put LC is equal to LT, that entire contact length is equal to LC, right? So this become 1, and 1 minus 1, 0. So this become 0. So there is no sliding, and that corresponds to point A. So at point A in the graph, what is that condition that you get is LT is equal to LC. So if LT is greater than LC, what does that mean? If this is my rectangular patch, this is my actual physical contact length, my LC is somewhere here. This is my LC. So this much portion of the length is not adhered. It is now sliding in the contact patch. And we were looking at an element at a distance x from the front of the contact patch, so that we had a differential force per unit length at a distance x from the front of the contact patch we derived, and then we got our Fx, that is for the entire contact patch. For this condition we derived. Now we are looking at this condition. So we have this. So now what is my total Fx? So total Fx is Fx adhesion zone plus Fx sliding zone. Fx adhesion zone plus Fx sliding zone. So how do I get that? What is my Fx adhesion zone value? That is KT LT, or adhesion zone means LC till LC. So LC lambda I into 1 plus LC by 2 lambda. So that's my equation 18. So why do I put here LC? LC because that is this length, and that is the value corresponding to the force due in the adhesion zone, and this is the value here. So if I add these two equation, I would get my total Fx. So I'm going to do that. So if I add, what is that I'll have? I would have first mu p W into 1 minus LC by LT plus, and this value which is KT lambda I LC within bracket 1 plus LC by 2 lambda. By the way, I know what is LC. LC is characteristic length that's given by mu p times W by KT LT I minus lambda. So this is my LC. So in this expression, if I substitute this LC and do manipulate, I will be able to deduce my final expression. So that I leave it to you to work out, and that would come here as mu p times W minus lambda into mu p times W minus K. I am introducing a new variable K dash I whole square by 2 LT K dash I. That's what is going to be my fx. So look at now this equation. This is equation number 1.19. So this equation is non-linear equation. See, mu p w square it comes. So what is this capital K dash? It is for simplicity I have used. So it's small kt, lt and lambda. So this is that. So when I substitute in this LC this expression and deduce this, I would have this kt, lt, lambda coming here like that. So I replace that conveniently like this to represent simplified form. So this is my final tractive force that is developed, and that could fit the entire curve zone till this point. So I would be able to get further this that goes to B and then falls to this when it is 100%. So this point B I would have now by this expression. So at this point B, what is the condition? I have some corresponding value of IM, the maximum value of M corresponding to this, which is permitted. If any value beyond this is unstable state, this will fall rapidly down to ms times W, which is not preferred. So I need to get what is the expression of this IM. So how do I do that? What is the value of IM? How do I do that? I have to make, for that, my characteristic length equals 0, right? So this characteristic length here is reduces. So this is sliding zone. This entire shadowed region is sliding region. In this sliding region is progressive. It is going in this direction. So when LC reduces and LC becomes 0, I would have my entire contact patch is going to be now with the sliding point. So that is the corresponding point B, because point B is a point which divides the zone where the sliding is there, and the zone where sliding, full sliding, and the zone where there is no adhesion, slight adhesion and no sliding, no adhesion at all. So when I say that point, that gives an idea of how do you get I max. So you know the same, take the same expression of LC. In this LC, if you put 0, if LC is 0, that corresponds point B in the graph. So I'll get IM value. This lambda goes on that side and brings down, and I take it on that side. So it's going to be mu P times W by KT, LT, and lambda. So this is the value of IM. You can be asked to calculate these values and all in the quiz or examination time. So you should remember this formula. So this is that formula. Value this, I would get this Fx value is maximum. So if I substitute this IM here and KT, LT, lambda here, you can see that what would happen. So this is KT, LT, lambda. IM value is this. So denominator I have this, so that goes off. Numerator I have mu p times w. So mu p times w minus mu p times w 0. So this disappears. I get my mu p times w is what is the value at point P. So that holds good. So anything other than that, you do have value between IC and IM. You have here this value, and this is not going to be 0, and that would take care of nonlinearity region of the curve. So this would be a simplified model that could account your variation of tractive effort as function of longitudinal slip. So do you have any doubt at this point of time to ask? I'm happy to answer. So we have derived till this point. Any doubt? And what is the complexity of this model? Can anyone say? This is a simplified model, but what is the complexity involved in this model if I have to really implement? What is that is tough in this model? Right? Can anyone answer? See, I know in this model, look at this equation. I have what are the variables? I have this mu p, which is coefficient of road adhesion, the load of the vehicle, which is can be identified, and the length of contact patch. So real time you have a contact patch measurement technique. So you can also find out this, and the road surface characteristics are standards available according to the road pavements. So these are all there. But with respect to tire, look at this important quantity called lambda. So is that value readily available for you? So the determination of this longitudinal deformation of the tire tread in front of the contact patch is complex because you require this length. What is the length of the tread which is undergoing this longitudinal compression? You know that the longitudinal strain, what we have defined the epsilon, and that is constant in an adhesion zone. But this lambda is not in adhesion zone, it's just in front of the adhesion zone. So the measurement of this length, which is under compression, is what is tedious to determine, that require involved experiments and so on. So that's where the same Julian has proposed a simplified model. Even you can neglect this lambda and then have your expression so that you can have more insights into the physics of the tire under application of driving torque or of braking torque. So that's what he has proposed. So neglect lambda and consider only the contact portion and the adhesion zone with the epsilon, and repeat this derivation, and you would have your simplified model. So why is it simplified model? Now let us look at what is the value of this. What is the value corresponding to this FXC? We just have derived here, right? So we have this is your FXC value. This is your FXC value. So what is your final corresponding IC value is this. Corresponding IC value also that we have got it here. But that would be different now if I eliminate this lambda. So let's quickly do that modified Julian's model. That simple one can parallelly work out because the same approach, same elastic model, but we do not consider lambda. So when you do not consider lambda, your starting point is same as the first equation that we have written earlier. What is that? What is the differential length? The differential form of this tractive force per unit length. That would be now going to be only kT times the E value. So what is E value here? It is going to be, E is what is longitudinal deformation. So kT times x times epsilon. So what is that I consider is, again in this rectangular contact patch of length LT and width B with the normal pressure P, I look at an element at a distance x, and the dx element is this, so that I would know at a distance x what is the attractive force per unit length, is what is given by tangential stiffness per unit area times the longitudinal deformation. The longitudinal deformation for the length x will be x times the strain, compressive strain. So I would have, this is my equation, and you know that since epsilon is measure of slip, I can rewrite this as kt x into I. So this is equation number 1.20 as per the textbook. Now, if no sliding of the entire contact patch, then what I can do, this is for if no sliding. No sliding. That means what? I have my LT is less than or equal to LC. Right? What is my LC now, by the way? In this case, I had lambda neglected. So what is my LC going to be? What is my LC expression? It's only mu P times W by KT LTI. Right? So if no sliding, then I can extend this equation and get my expression Fx. That's going to be 0 to LT, and it's going to be KTX into I dx. So if I integrate this, I would have KT taken out, x squared by 2, applying limits, it's going to be LT squared by 2I. So this expression KT LT squared by 2, KT unit is what? Kilonewton per meter square, LT meter square, so that goes, I get Newton. Force I is percentage, so it's a fraction. So I would have my force C times subscript I into I. So where I define now this Ci as longitudinal, look at the name, slip stiffness, longitudinal slip stiffness, and this value is constant and it is a linear model. So I look at now the variation of I, variation of Fx as function of I will have from this origin a straight line. From this origin, a straight line, sorry, flipping it is a straight line till point A. Till point A, right? So what is this angle here is tan theta. This angle is tan theta. I can define this Ci as tan theta. So which is nothing but dou F by dou I, which is equal to this Ci, right? This is equal to Ci when I is equal to 0. So this is what, if I have a full graph and I plot, and where I is equal to 0, I draw the slope. Whatever that I have is this, and I define this important quantity called Ci, which is called longitudinal slip stiffness. So now let us call these equation numbers. So this is equation 1.21 as per the textbook, and this is equation 1.22. I define what is Ci. This KT LT squared by 2 is defined as dou F by dou I when I is equal to 0, so that the slope can be defined here. Slope of this curve, correct? That's equation 1.22, and then what I have here is 1.23. So these are the equations as per the textbooks. So now at point A, right? At point A, what is my force per unit length at point A? At point A, I have my LT is equal to LC. So if I have LT is equal to LC, then dFx by dx is going to be KT LT I. That's going to be equal to mu P times PB, or that's equal to mu P times PB into LT is what is W. So PB is W by L. So I'll put the load by LT. So this is equation 1.24. Because when this is a point A means it is not an entire contact patch attractive force, right? I have not accounted still sliding zone. So only in adhesive zone. So my expression of this force per unit length is equal to mu P times W by LT. And then what is my IC value now in the similar fashion what we discussed in the previous derivation. What is this IC value going to be? At IC value I have LC is equal to LT, right, in this. So LC is equal to LT when I put, I will have this LT comes here, I goes there. So IC is going to be mu P times W by KT LT square. Is that clear? So if that is so, I have defined here Ci as KT LT squared by 2. So KT LT squared is 2 times Ci. So I can rewrite this as mu P times W by 2 Ci is what is IC. So if this is, let us number this as 1.25. So this gives me what is the slip value corresponding to point A, which divide the linear and non-linear. And the corresponding value of FXC is what? So FXC will be here. So FX C will be Ci into I, that I will be IC. So in this expression, I should be replaced by IC. So if I put this IC value here, what is that I get? CC, CA and CI goes off. So I'll get mu P W by 2. This is 1.26. So if my entire contact patch is adhered to the ground during my application of the torque, the vehicle expected it would develop only half the potential that is available from the road interaction. So it is not preferred. So I have to have my slip value to increase further, but should not go beyond the maximum value. So that's the same way if we discuss. So it has to be now nonlinear zone. And then it goes. This is the characteristics of this variation. So this point is B. We know that here it is mu P times W. Mu P times W. But in this case, we have got just half the value, mu P W by 2. But whereas in Julien's model, accounting lambda, this expression is multiplied with another factor involving lambda. Remember that differences. So this is simplified model. In textbook, you are having the picture with the simplified model in the graph, but you have to carefully look at the derivation and the corresponding value. If you cannot neglect lambda during your approach of deriving the expression, right? So this is your equation number 1.26. So now, what is that further we are going to do? We have to now account for remaining non-linear zone. The same way we need to argue. So what is the same way we have to sliding zone? So sliding zone to come, that's the point A. At that point, LT is equal to LC. That's a condition. So as long as LT is greater than LC, less than LC, as long as LT is less than LC, no sliding. It is only complete adhesion. When it is equal, initiation of sliding at the rear of contact patch. So this condition is also corresponding to point A in the graph. So if that is so, I can rewrite my expression for force in sliding zone as usual, mu p times W into 1 minus LC by LT. If we put this condition here, it is going to be 0. So it's only contribution from FXC, which is corresponding to FXCA adhesion value. So here, see this LC by LT, I'm going to just look at this and see. So LC by LT, I will look at the expression of this expression. This is LC, this is LT, right? So I will have, when LC is equal to LT, I will have here LT by LC ratio that I would replace it here. LC by LT value. See, what is LC? So just let me write, and then if you have doubt, I will explain. So this is mu p times W multiplied by 1 minus mu p times W by 2 Ci into I. This is Fxs. So how this comes, you should understand. Right? How this 2 Cii has come, you should understand. Any, do you follow, or you want me to explain?
Sir?
Yeah.
Sir, LT less than or equal to LC means no sliding, sir, or only LT less than or equal to LC?
No. LT less than LC means what? See, 1 minute, right? So you have your contact patch rectangle like this, right? The physical length of this is LT, right? So LC is what? Characteristic length. So characteristic length is not a physical measure. So when LT less than or equal to LC, that's what is the condition that we have seen. LT less than or equal to LC, which you have defined, is the condition for no sliding. So absolutely no sliding means it's not even equal. So which is point below A in the graph. That's what I just have put. If I put equal sign, it is exactly the point A, which is common for linear zone as well as non-linear zone. So when I put this condition, I call that condition as it's a condition for initiation of sliding at the rear of the contact patch. Are you getting me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So if that is clear, now you see here this expression. The sliding zone expression, I have just put this. So when you put a LC is equal to LT condition here, it's going to be 0. That refer to only this value exists. And addition to that value to have, you should have always LT value now greater than LC. So LT value greater than LC means what?
Sliding occurs.
Yeah, so your actual contact length is here only this. So LT is cannot change. LT is fixed. So your characteristic length is only this much. This is your LC, because that can be reduced. Correct? The LC can be 0. LC is 0 is what is your point corresponding to B. Corresponding to IM value. That's exactly what we were discussing earlier. So this is your sliding region. So when you have the condition of LT greater than LC, you see this ratio, this is greater denominator, this is going to be fraction. So I will have contribution for sliding zone. And this added with this would give me an expression. That's why your total Fx is Fxc plus Fxs. So now your Fxa, what is your Fxa? So this equation is 1.27 and the Fxa.
So one more.
Yeah.
Sir, if the contact area in the adhesion region means we can consider it as a no sliding, sir.
Contact area in the
Adhesion region, sir.
Initial region.
Yes, sir.
No. See, your tire is going in this way. This is the contact patch. This is leading and this is trailing end, rear end, right? So the leading end, it is adhered. So initially it is completely adhered. As I keeps increasing, I value equal to IC is the point where the initiation of this comes. That's corresponding to point A. So any value beyond I from IC value, critical slip value, would initiate your sliding. That's what we are discussing. So the contact length is not going to vary, but in the contact length, the zone of adhesion, which is at the beginning of initiation of I, is going to get varying, is going to get diminishing, and sliding starts as the I value in the graph is increases. Look at here. So this is what is I0 point. So there is no Fx. So as I value is increases, you get a linear variation. So this linear variation, any value here, if you look at, that's because of contact patch is completely adhered to the ground. So you do not get even your maximum value of adhesion zone. So maximum tractive force that is available for complete adhesion is this. So any value I less than IC value would not even develop this in your tire model, right? So the development of I is because of your compression in the thing. So why the compression? Because of driving torque. If the driving torque value is varying, your speed is varying, your I value also will be increasing. And that increase in I value has to be under control so that you would be able to exploit attaining this state. That's where the traction control system comes into picture. So if you have understood this all, now here you have derived an expression for sliding. So you have any doubt? Do I have answered your doubt?
Yes, sir. Sir,
Yeah.
that means LT, if you said that after, if LT equal to LC, initiation of sliding occurs, no, sir?
Yeah, that is a condition for sliding to take place.
So LT equal
Contact
to
patch, the
LC
contact
is
patch
in,
length should be equal to the expression of characteristic length.
yes, sir. So
Yeah.
LT equal to LC means is it in adhesion or it's changing its region, sir?
It is not
How can I
changing its
consider?
region. When LC is equal to LT is equal to LC means it is this entire length, right? So this LC is
Yes,
going
sir.
to see everything is coming from the point over here. So this is your starting leading point. So these all arrows like this. So this is your entire contact length. So this LC is LT when it was here, right?
Yes, sir.
That's what is this condition. So when LT is equal to LC, you have initiation of the sliding. So this, whatever the shaded region would be slight line here. But when LT value going to be greater than LC, that means LC is not a fixed length. It is not a physical length. It is the characteristic length, which you should look at the length of adhesion zone. So adhesion zone length is reduces. LC value reduces. So LT is greater than LC, I say. Right?
Okay, sir. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. So now it's clear this LC by LT ratio is what I substitute and then I have this. So that is this ratio, right? You could you can understand that clearly. Now what is the value of FXA? FXA. So FXA, I will write that as half mu P times W into LC by LT. This is a simplified model. So when LC is equal to LT, that's a condition for initiation of sliding, or it is the condition that the entire contact patch is under adhesion zone as well, right? That is an instant. It is an impending state between full adhesion or sliding to start. So if that is the point, this else this goes off and I get my point A. So that is how I just define my FXA here. So if I have defined my FXA like this, my total force Fx expression for my entire car would be Fxa plus Fxs. So I have to add this equation. This expression is expression. So I can also rewrite this like this. So if I substitute LC in this, what is that I'll have? What is LC? By the way, we have written that LC expression here. Do I have written LC? Let's write that. So your LC is characteristic length is given by mu p times W by KT LT I minus lambda. In our simplified model, lambda is neglected. So this is your LC. So now here if I have to have ratio LC by LT, so this is going to be KT LT square. So KT LT squared is what is 2 times C lambda, Ci. That's why here it's 2. That's very clear to understand. So now here again LC by LT I needed. So when I substitute for LC by LT here, so this is going to be mu P times W by already there is some 2, and LC by LT is what is going to be KT LT squared into I. So KT LT squared is 2 times Ci. So that's again 2 Ci into I. So I'll write mu P W by 4 Ci into I is what is my expression 1.28. That's value of Fxa. So for the adjacent zone, anytime I'll have this value. So if I substitute IC value here, I value here, I'll get this. IC value, if I substitute, I'll get half the value of this mu P times W. So this is to account your zone from 0 to A in your graph. And this expression is to account from A onwards to B. So if I add both of them, I would get an expression for my total tractive force at any position. So I have to add now 27 and 28. If I do that and I take mu P times W out, so this is going to be mu P times W taken out. I will have 1 minus mu P W by 2 Ci into I plus mu P times W squared by 4 Ci into I. This is what I will have. So I do some manipulation here, and then further I can rewrite this equation. That's going to be equal to mu P times W within bracket 1 minus mu P times W by 4 Ci into I. That's my 1.29 equation number as per the textbook. And that's my Fx. So this is the expression for modified Julien's model. Modified or simplified Julien's tire model expression, right? So again it's nonlinear. See, you have this term and square term, and this would account the entire nonlinearity. So here we can again say what is the condition for IM. So how do you get that corresponding value of IM, maximum value at point B? You would have mu P times W, right? So if I put IM is equal to same, what is that I will have to get? Mu P times W by 4 Ci only will be IM. So if I substitute that here, that would go here as 1, and 1 minus 1, 0. So I'll have Fx. Sorry, this has to go 0, right? Corresponding to Fx max. Fx max. That we can check. What is the value corresponding to Fx max? So any doubt in this expression? So this is your simplified tire model without considering lambda. So neglecting lambda in Julien's model. Your expression of force per unit length is given by this, so you have to do this all derivation and you will understand the simple. And why did I do this is because I'm going to define now another term called skid, and the skid is responsible for your braking force. So I'm going to look at variation of braking force and skid, and I would extend the simplified model for that instead of an actual Julian's model with the accountability of lambda. So that would help you to look at what would happen in a case of a braking scenario. Right. So for that, let us define now what do you mean by skid? What do you mean by skid? That let me refer by I subscript S. I subscript S. So what will happen during braking? During braking. So you apply a braking torque. So when you apply a braking torque, the tire which was so this is your contact patch. So here you would see instead of under compression, this is under stretch. This is under stretch, and that goes. So when it is under stretch, you will have the elemental length will be 1 plus epsilon times L increased. So the diagram which you have already seen. What is there here you have to understand is the equivalent translation is going to be greater than that of free rolling condition. So you would have your V is greater than R omega. So I define my IS as V minus R omega by V into 100. So I would have here 1 minus R omega by V into 100. That much percentage. Right? So here you can see 100% skid means what? You would have locking of wheel, but the wheel is translating. So locking of wheel means here omega is 0 and V is existing. So this is going to be 100%. So 100% locking of wheel. So omega 0, you get 100% skid. So if I take an absolute value of my braking effort, instead of looking at its negative sign, I know the direction in tire contact patch. And this is my braking force, and this is my IS. I would see this again, this variation is similar to that trend. It falls to suddenly mu s times S, and I have my maximum braking effort. Same way the variation would be. Right? So I can have a relation between this IS and I now. So the skid is defined like this now. So the definition of skid, you know, and this is equation 1.30 according to the textbook. And right, so when you brake, wheels are not locking, scenario is different. Skid is not 100%. Skid is not 100%. If we are braking but wheels are also partially rotating, it is not locking, then you have that is maybe here. So you have to utilize the maximum braking effort and the IES value, critical value beyond this. The optimum critical value, maximum value should be there so that you would be able to stop your vehicle at the shortest distance without locking. So that is the expected requirement. For that, you should understand this phenomena, skid. So now braking effort versus skid is what we are looking at. Like we looked at tractive force versus slip. Now we are going to look at for this. And for that, a simple relation between I and IS is what I'm going to put. So that's going to be I value, modulus value I put is equal to IES by 1 minus IS. So that's all. So this is equation 1.31. Right? And I can define here my braking effort Fx equals like CA I have used here, I will use CS into IS. And this IS I am going to replace, right? IS by 1 minus, sorry. Now what is my Fx tractive force expression? Tractive force expression is I. So if I replace this I by this CS, that Ci will become CS. This was for an attractive effort. So if I replace I by this, IS by 1 minus IS, and this is going to be your skid stiffness of the tire, longitudinal stiffness during braking of the tire. So this would help you to further going for manipulating this equation for this. So wherever you have I in the previous expression derivation, if you replace that by IS by 1 minus IS and replace Ci by Cs, you would have corresponding expression derivation. You do not require again formally to start with looking at your longitudinal deformation. So in this case, longitudinal deformation is not reduction in length, rather increase in length. So you can also have this approach and derive this, but instead you know this relationship, so you can replace I by IS by 1 minus IS and Ci by Cs, and whatever the expression that we had earlier would be acceptable. So this is expression 1.32, and how do you define your CS? Actually, it is the stiffness during braking. So that would be dou Fx from this graph by dou IS when IS is equal to 0. That's how you say. And this is 1.33 equation number. And you can again write the expression for IESC. And what is you had IC expression? IC expression you had mu P times W by 2 times Ci. We had. Right, so if I replace this by CS, this IC will become ISC by 1 minus ISC. Like that you can do change and then derive the expression. I leave it to you to work out for further 4 equations looking at the textbook and as a homework, and that will stop at this point of time. What is your Julien's tire model? It's physics and its strength of material approach. Simple approach it is. The force is stiffness times elastic deformation. So we derived this expression and we have understood what is physically happening at the contact patch. It is also understood that it is mandatory that the sliding to take place along with the slipping to extract its maximum potential performance force in case of traction as well as in case of braking. So this is what the concluding statement of the Julien's theory to understand this elastic tire model. If you have any doubts, I would happily answer. Otherwise, we will stop lecturing at this point and disperse. Right? Any doubt? Okay, I'll stop recording.